Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the Arrowhead Kingdom Chiefs cast, live from the Wolf Den. I am Chris.
And I'm Josh, and today we're going to be talking about the Chiefs and the rest of the offseason. Big reminder that all Chiefs fans are invited to join us for game day. Please visit us at arrowheadkingdom.org to learn more about the group and to find your local chapter. And also make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're, of course, presented by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth lighting, and coordination services. Visit them at completewedo.com.
Right, today we'll be talking Kansas City Chiefs without a guest today, but I'm pretty sure us three can carry the weight here.
I think so. In fact, I think that's what we've done most of the time.
I think if you looked at like a pie chart, like a pie graph of like the three of us, like 98%, and there's like a sliver in there, and that's the that Blaine guy who sings country music.
So I think the biggest thing is hopefully the sliver of the three of us carrying is the one that gets the a la mode or the ice cream on top, because that's how that should go.
Yeah.
I like it for sure.
All right, so a couple of topics today. I think the biggest one that came up that we really need to be weighing in on is this whole Orlando Brown situation. So to catch everybody up, Orlando Brown was traded to the team from the Ravens last year, and he came in with the last year of his rookie contract, and so we knew when he came in that any extension that was going to happen either needed to happen right away, which it did not. And I thought it was pretty clear that wasn't going to happen, or it needed to be happening this off season. So I'd say that's the first piece of just nuts and bolts context that I would throw in there. The next piece that I would throw in as a layer revolves around why he was actually available. So he was the Ravens left tackle, but that was due to, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here, it was due to the fact that there was an injury and he moved to the left.
Ronnie Stanley ended up getting injured.
There you go. So the Ravens intended to move him to right tackle, and that essentially made him request a trade or made him available or put him in a disgruntled nature. The Chiefs cut Eric Fisher and brought Orlando Brown, and then this is part of the entire Chiefs getting killed on the offensive line in Super Bowl 55, and they decided to remake the entire line. So we all on the same page that that's roughly the conditions where he came in?
Yeah, that's pretty well summarized.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, good enough. So I guess the first question that I have, because I want to make sure that we build this context before we really get into everything. So based on that, Brian, just what would you think this negotiation was going to go like? Would you think that Orlando Brown was going to be dead set that there were certain conditions that had to be met, or would you think that he was coming in as like a highly flexible individual when it came to negotiating? I'm already kind of inserting my opinion in this, but
compared to, what's the NFL stand for? Not for long, right? Not for long. And for a guy that size, and he as hard as he gets hit every year, and what he was tasked to do to protect Patrick Mahomes, and we all saw what happened in the Super Bowl, and we came in to be the force that he needed to be, and the kind of people he's blocking. I'm like, well, yeah, I would expect a guy of that size, 6'8" and however many pounds, if he's putting up the numbers that he needs to put up, that is exceptional, and they are exceptional. And giving the time to Patrick Mahomes, because we both know like the offensive line night and day between the Super Bowl and what we saw last season. You know what? You get as much money as you can. You get paid as much as you can, because this money is going to have to last him for the rest of his life. And for as big as he is, as hard as he gets hit, you better be, it's got to be, you grab as much as you can. And and it doesn't, that's what I was expecting. And if these things take longer than they have to, that's just what as it is. And I think everyone understands that. Everyone's on the same page at ownership and people who pay the money and people who get paid and all the forces of the agents and the managers and people. And as we get more educated about how this stuff kind of works, as laymen as we are, it's just like, I assume he's pretty young. I don't know how old he is, but he's quite young.
I think he's got 25 or 26 now.
Yeah, end of his rookie contract.
Yeah,
and
26.
so
he's staring down 65 more years of life. Let's give you a nice long runway, because it's gonna start hurting in a couple of years.
No, so I think part of the thing that's making this interesting is, Brian, you made a comment that everybody kind of knows what's going on, and I agree with that. But a lot of the narrative being painted right now, and some of this is fans, and I mean, fans are fans, and you know, people know what they know, and this is an emotional situation, and it's a game, but it's a business. So we're starting to get things, but the main thing that I got out of what you said is that you expected him to come in and want a big payday, which I mean, Chris, what were your thoughts when he came in? I thought it was pretty clear that he was not signing an extension because he was coming in to establish a good year with the team, and that he was going to be looking to rake on his contract. I mean, did you think that this was going any way other than that?
No, that's what made me nervous about the trade in the first place. Because I mean,
Exactly. You wrote
they
about it.
they're yeah. Well, I mean, they're stuck in no man's land with him because either he plays badly enough that you can walk away from him, or he plays good enough that you can justify paying him as the top left tackle in the NFL, or as his agent I think said, trying to reset the market. But instead, they're caught in the middle. They franchised him, so that pretty much says right there, at they're not sold on him as one of the top left tackles in the NFL. But because of that, there's to Brian's point, yeah, every athlete should get paid as much as they can, and I fully support that. Just like Tyreek Hill, I said, you know what, man, I don't blame you for going to Miami and taking that payday. You weren't going to get it here, but there's also another side to it, and it's running a business. And at the same time, they're kind of now running into this interesting dynamic too. So there's a really interesting take by Jeff Jadia, if you guys have seen this on NFL Network, where he talks about just what kind of message that's sent to the locker room right now when you let Tyreek Hill and Tyrann Mathieu walk, and then you're going to shell out basically top of the market money for a guy that's not one of the best at his position, whereas Hill and Matthew arguably are. So yeah, it was a tough. I mean, this ended up being that thing where he was right down the middle. He wasn't terrible that you could walk away from him, but he also wasn't great to where you could justify the lucrative investment.
He was the best available, though. So let's be clear about that. He was the best available left tackle, and I think that some of this is just circumstantial. And part of the reason that he wanted to be a left tackle is left tackles get paid more than right tackles. But I like the point that you bring up, because I think that would be messed up to let two top guys walk based on money and then overpay a guy. So I mean, this is kind of a principled move, and it's a disciplined move, and it's a thing where you're saying that you don't get to be a top performer because you want to. So I've written a couple of columns about this, and I kind of got into just basic business organizational behavior. And the analogy that I brought up is, you go in for your annual review. We all either work for big companies or we have. So you have these. You have your annual review, and the two things that are on the table are you're going to be told how you did the past year. You're going to be given suggestions of things to potentially work on, and you're going to get some level of a raise, and it's going to be based on just from being a manager of people in an organization like this. There's going to be an amount of money that's allocated for raises, and it's going to be based on merit, and you can expect to get somewhere in the neighborhood of a 3%, which is roughly what inflation traditionally is. Let's not even get into what we're doing right now, but 3% is generally the hey, we like you, we're going to have you stay around, they give you a couple of things to possibly get better on. It's like, oh, it would be super cool if you would get really good at corporate finance. Well, okay, that would be good for everybody. But so I kind of look at this as Brown went in for his annual review, and he's just like, man, I killed it this last year. I had an awesome time. Man,
I made the Pro Bowl.
I made the Pro Bowl. So 6% raise. This is going to be great. And he goes in, and they're just like, hey, so loved everything you did. So we're going to give you the 3% merit. And
I don't like the sound of this at all.
Yeah, we're going to give you the 3% merit, and it would be super cool if you could be better at pass blocking, because we don't want our CEO knocked on his face any more than he has to be. And while we're at it, you can do XYZ and maybe block better on the run and stuff like that.
How would you feel about a title, a franchise? How do you feel about title improvement?
Exactly. But what we're gonna do
You're
is
now a
make you the
senior level, but paid the same.
franchise tag left tackle. You're gonna be the senior left tackle, and I kind of look at it as that's essentially what happened. And I don't blame him or his agent for saying we want to reset the market, because when you are the best at your position and you're going into the off season, that is what you're supposed to be looking to do.
Have you guys
that's how you're supposed to be wired, and that's what the Players Association is going to tell you to do. So I mean, there you go. I mean, what are we surprised about?
I was just thinking about something. I'm sorry, I have to ask this. Have either of you guys ever like done something crazy for like your job, like when you're applying for a job, like asking for your salary or your raise? Have you ever like done anything crazy just to see if you can like get an amazing amount of money out of nowhere, like not out of nowhere, just like asking for a crazy amount of money?
See, for me, and this is going to kind of get into the situation, for me, when I pull that is when I leave one company to go to another.
Yeah, when you job hop, that's when you make your big money.
That's like, when you do it. That's when you do it. I mean, the principle that I've heard at every place that I've worked is the best way to get a massive raise at the company you work for is to work for a competitor first.
Yeah, my salary went up 3 times, like by I think it was like three times whenever I job hopped twice, and it was just like insane. And yeah, and that was back in the day when I was like, you want to strive for this promotion or this raise? I'm like, the skill set I had, and I guess this works for every skill set. It's like I'll just hop around because it just kind of changes scenery. But one time I tried to get a job, and they were offering me like way lower than I was expecting, and it was for a university, and this was a while ago. And I said they didn't have anything in the budget, so I told them, all right, can you go ask them for more money? You should go ask them for more money. And like, I don't know if it'll go. I'm like, here's what I'll tell you: if you get me on the roster, if you get me paid, you'll be so successful. This will be so successful that they're going to name a hall after you. You need to go get there, get paid, get that money, get that to me. Let me do my thing. 5 years, they're naming a hall after you. And the guy's like silent on the other end. Like, all right, I'll be right back. Get like an email 20 minutes later. Like, they said no. Like, damn it.
Well, so here's another thing that I've heard. I mean, Brian, a mutual friend of ours, has said this before. He goes, anytime that you're going into a position with a company where you're going to a new company, if you are in any kind of customer facing contract negotiation, any of those things, any time that you're going to be tasked to be working in a position where you're either going to be trying to get more out of a customer or less out of a vendor or something to that effect, if you're going to be negotiating at all, the cardinal sin number one is for you to take the first offer. Because how can you expect to be good or demonstrate that you're going to be good at negotiating on behalf of the company if you won't negotiate on behalf of yourself? So you should never take the offer they give you. You should negotiate. And
has anyone ever like been asked, I made a first offer, and you say no, and then they go, forget it, and they leave? Like, because
that's the thing. And it's probably not going to happen. So I mean, I'll be honest, like that's probably the least comfortable part of any of this. I mean, pull up my LinkedIn page. You guys know what my last name is, pull it up. You can see that I don't spend a lot of time anywhere. And some of that is I work for a company, and I, thought that I would work there forever and had a good amount of loyalty. And I kind of got burned, and I'm just, it's not going to happen again. And I think the NFL is roughly the same thing. And there's maybe like 5 people in the league that aren't going to get burned. But I mean, case point A, Tom Brady ended up getting burned by the Patriots. So nobody's infallible to any of this stuff. And why would Orlando Brown take a team discount? And really what we're talking about is with Orlando Brown, we're talking about $2 million a year, and he was asking for an extra $2 million a year, and they gave him an extra 100,000. So look at this. Forget about what the actual numbers are and just look at what that is. You ask for 2 million, make that $2, and you get $100,000 or a 10-cent raise.
Yeah.
You ask for a $2 raise, you get a 10-cent raise. I mean, hopefully those numbers can scale for about anybody. It's like, how would you accept that?
Yeah.
And my next question is, why would you accept that?
Wish we could have agents like go in there, do our job interviews for us and negotiate our terms. That'd be cool. Like
That's what corporate recruiters are. They're your agent.
no, they're not really. They get
Yes,
you.
they are, because
they
they're trying to
introduce
get
you-
their commission
Well,
up.
they introduce you to the person, but you actually have to go in there and do the talking. Unless does your recruiter do that, or have you done
I've
that?
had one. I've had ones that do. I've had ones that
You've
that
had
drive
one like
that
go in
route.
there and like interview for you.
No, there's the salary
Oh, but-
negotiation. They'll make their
Yeah.
opinions known, where it's just like, well, the market for somebody who does blah blah blah. I've totally had that
Yeah,
happen before.
they're very involved. Yeah.
You've had a recruiter do the negotiation for the salary for you.
I've had I've had them. You still had to be the one leading everything, but the recruiter is the one sitting there going like, oh, I don't know if I can convince this guy to do it. I mean, it's a 3-part negotiation if they get involved in that level. And the whole thing is an agent, a recruiter, all these people, they're trying to get a percentage of what the salary offered is, and that's the situation.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess I've never. I mean, I knew that's kind of how they made money, right? It's like it's a referral or a commission off. I suppose I don't know what the number is on one salary or closing fee or whatever it is. I don't know. But my experience with recruiters, it's usually they contact me on LinkedIn. I say, yeah, I'm looking for something. I send them my resume, and I might get one message back, or I might never hear from them again, or I do or I tell them what my requirements are for salary, and I get ghosted. So a lot of ghosting. But I don't know.
And that's the thing. I mean, this is one of the things that I established, is that it doesn't matter if you're working for a Fortune 100 company or a mom and pop operation. The overall economics and dynamics are roughly the same, but you're talking about big numbers on one side, small numbers on another side, but proportionally speaking, you're looking at that. And one of the other things I got into in my column is that businesses have to make decisions, and individuals that work for companies have to make decisions, and we all have to have jobs.
Yeah.
And so we all have to, as an organization or as an individual, decide what we consider is winning. And so, winning could be, I want to make the most possible money that I possibly can, and that's it. And if you make that, you're leaving certain things on the table of, I don't care how many hours I work, I don't care what I'm doing, and I don't care who I'm doing it for, And so how I think this Orlando Brown thing is going to end is that he's going to play this year for the Chiefs. He's going to play a little bit better than he did last year, and he's going to get a ridiculous amount of money from like the Jets or the Jaguars or some other team that's clearing out cap space for a rebuild that's never going to actually happen. And it's basically what Tyreek Hill did. He decided that money was the happiness driver, and he's ready to forgo a little bit of winning. Travis Kelce, on the other hand, is sitting there going, I want to win, and I'll take a little bit less money, and we'll go that way. So that's a Chiefs player. I think Tom Brady is probably the master of all of that. And what I think that Tom Brady recognized 15 years ago is that the best thing that he could do for himself was win as many Super Bowls as possible. So he took less money a number of times, and he's getting ready to make what is it, $35 million a year as an analyst for ESPN as soon as he decides. So that's better. That's better than any football player. So he's got the long game, and he gets to do that when he's not getting hit by linebackers.
So here's the other devil.
But not everybody's Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, the devil's in the detail too with these contracts is that you likely won't see the last 2 years of the contract unless you're outperforming
We'll
your
never see the
expectations.
last 2 years of that contract.
No. So, part of the argument is, why would you take less money? Well, possibly so you could play with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL to basically guarantee that you're going to see through that entire, what was he offered? Probably over $120 million over 6 years.
6 years, 139.
Yeah.
And
so
it reset the market that Williams said at 6 years, 138.
Okay.
So there you go.
So, I mean, that's the devil's advocate to it, but I mean, yeah, I'm not going to blame Orlando Brown for his side. I don't blame the Chiefs for their side. I think the only thing that Orlando Brown screwed up on was the fact that he waited so long to hire an agent. Sure. And not just an agent, a guy who had never done an NFL contract negotiation in his career. So what are you thinking, man?
That's not.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, both sides played it out just as they, as you said, Josh, as anyone could have expected.
It's like hiring a I got to do your mortgage, or I got to help you sell your house. Like,
Yeah.
has he ever sold a house before? I read a contract. Like, nah, I went to college with him. He's fine. I'm like, okay. I think
all that stuff makes sense, but I also don't think it makes a difference either. You know, this went the way it was going.
I just hope he's on the offensive line this season.
I don't see a word where he doesn't pay. He's going to get $16.6 million. He's made 6 and change in his entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not Le'Veon Bell. and so I think that by the time that we get through all the voluntary stuff and the quasi-voluntary stuff that he can get away with not doing before he signs his tender, I think that's what's going to happen. And then he's going to play this season. And I think he's going to play a little bit better than he did last year.
Well, yeah. And what does he stand to gain by sitting out? He really gains nothing.
Nothing. He loses $1 million a game.
And can you name a player who sat out a year and came back the next year and was just as good or not better?
I can only think of one player that sat out, and it was Le'Veon Bell, and that guy's been friggin' garbage since.
Well, yeah, exactly. It didn't pay dividends for him. Sure, he got paid, but yeah, he was a shell of himself.
He got one extra signing bonus. He got one extra signing bonus, and I mean, you could make the argument that a couple more good years with Pittsburgh would have been equal to that. But again, you can't define how someone else defines happiness, and maybe for Le'Veon Bell, he was more happy playing for a garbage Jets team and not touching the ball 400 times a season for a Pittsburgh Steelers team that was going to get him just laid out, constantly. So I don't know.
And here's the thing about, positions in the NFL. I mean, for a running back, I mean, your career lifespan is going to be one of the shortest of any position in the NFL. So in his situation, I couldn't blame him at all for trying to hit that one payday, because I mean, if you're not going to get it with the team that you've been all pro with for several years, then you're never going to get it unless you go elsewhere. So he did what he had to do.
Well, exactly. And I mean, he was sitting there making an argument that I thought made a lot of sense. It's like, yes, I understand that RB is what I say in the program, but an RB typically, touches the ball 300 times in a season, and 50 of those are catching it out of the backfield. The other 250 are running between the tackles. And, I'm touching it 400, and 250 of those are running it between the tackles. And the other times are lining up all over the field and everything. I understood where he was coming from. And
how Live Golf has taken all the golfers on PGA Tour. It'd be funny if like Bill Gates or Elon Musk would like make a different NFL league and like just buy all the best players into like an XFL, like pay them like $100 million and get them all into their own league.
So that wasn't on the schedule, but Brian, you're the guy who's the golfer of this group. You've been around golf your entire life. What do you think of this LIV tour?
You know what? I kind of like it.
I'm 100% on board with this.
I kind of, let's mix it up a little bit. But watching, I love the PGA Tour, but it's what we watch. There's never really been a competitor in terms of like head-to-head kind of thing, like a WCW versus WWF. Going back, dating myself.
Open once a year is the one competitor the PGA has traditionally had.
Yeah, or I mean, people would argue like the Nike Tour, like that's not televised or anything.
That's not anything.
It's like minor league kind of thing, but they're still
not
great
an
golfers.
Argument.
But yeah, the Live. So you have Live. I always compare it to WCW and WWF a lot, because I'm like, okay, whenever I was a kid, I was like WWF all the way. I'd watch, my favorite wrestlers were there, but I'd always tune into WCW if Ric Flair was wrestling. So I wanted to see him do stuff. And that was the only reason why I'd ever tune into WCW. And you got Greg Norman, shelling out all kinds of cash, getting these major league names, getting these marquee names, going over there. And you know what? They're liking it because they're getting paid. They're getting paid like major league. And the latest guy came today. I forget who it was. He was the captain of the no longer the captain of the
European Ryder Cup team.
Yeah.
The continent that cares about the Ryder Cup.
He straight up said, like, he said it nicely. He goes, "Oh, I did this for commercial reasons," meaning I did this for money. Yes, I want to get paid. Like, dude, yeah, totally. So I kind of like it. I mean, I don't really I don't really give any credit to, or I kind of dismiss like, the I don't know, like the people who are like PJ only kind of thing, or the purists. I should say the purists. Like, oh, come on. I mean, I don't know how I feel about, they're doing the thing where you're banned from the PGA Tour. That's got to be lifted. They're just, seems like they're acting emotionally. I don't like it.
Well, here's the thing. How often do you find yourself rooting for FIFA the NCAA, and the International Olympic Committee. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, PGA is the fourth head on the Mount Rushmore of just self-serving, probably seriously corrupt in entities.
I don't think I've ever felt that way about that. Maybe you have. Maybe you research this more than like, because you're a bigger sports fan than I am. But
here's the thing: how often you've been like, "Oh, I just love the International Olympic Committee. I don't see how we could ever have games between nations that don't involve those people."
I never talked like that, nor have I said that sentence.
Never thought that. You've never thought that. So the fact that we're sitting here getting this righteous, like, oh well, we're the ones who've always just had golf integrity, and it's like, okay, well then how come Phil Mickelson is saying you guys are a goddamn pain in the ass to deal with when it comes to his name image likeness? How come you have all these players that should be playing in the NFL, except you don't let them, that you're cashing checks because they play for Alabama and they can't get a single dime off of this. In fact, you're going to try and get them jailed if they get a car from some booster or whatever. It's just like that. I understand that rules are rules and things of that nature. No. But the righteous indignation from a bunch of just yahoos is
dismissive.
Insulting.
I dismiss it.
It's insulting.
Mm-hmm. I always get freaked out, like whenever you have like a senior, like playing for KU maybe, or if there was like a senior like in football. And I'm just like, okay, they played their whole life. They're 21, 22 now. They're really young. They're just one snapped ankle away from it all going away. And I'm freaking out the whole time. Exactly. Like, I just can't wait. Please get to the professional league as fast as you can and make your money, because you've been playing this for as long as you possibly I mean, there's elite level athletes, and I don't know personally, but I do know that requires an extreme amount of commitment and work and effort, and you want to get paid for that. And it can be taken away at a moment's notice in college if they're not careful. So, I mean,
none of this is any different than if you're some sort of software product engineer and you develop something, and whatever organization tries to keep your name off the patent so you can't get royalties or something. It's really no different. So, Chris, let's just say you invent a new way to kill rats 10 times faster than they currently do.
Cool.
This is in the realm of possibility. I mean, let's be clear about this. This is in the realm of possibility.
Cheese by chance?
This is in the realm of possibility. So everybody is interested in what you have, but your company's just like, well, we're going to give you a 1% raise. You'd be pissed.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go to my competitor, make a poison that kills the
exactly.
rats 100 times faster now.
And you're going to go to a competitor, and it may or may not be better. And that's it. So that's all of us defining what we think happiness is. And, organizations make decisions all the time that they decide they'd rather keep a point of market share or a point of bottom line, because it's easier to tell the guy working for him you get a 3% raise instead of 6 than telling somebody that's on the investor call like, oh, well, we sold $100,000 less than we thought we were going to. So your dividend's only going to be $1.28 instead of $1.29 per share.
Have either one of you ever been in a position where like the person you're hiring or interviewing somebody, where if you kept their number below a certain level, you get a bonus? Or like, look, we were budgeting $100,000, but we got him for 72. I'm like, whoa, really? He just took the first offer. Like,
I have not, but I have no doubt in my mind that happens.
Right. That's what I wonder, if how often that happens. Like, who is that a role in HR, whoever makes the hiring decision, whoever makes the negotiation? I think that's called procurement, right? That's their thing, is hammering down price. I always wonder, like, the person who I'm negotiating with, like, I don't know what their range is. They didn't tell me or they usually do tell me the range, but if they don't, I'm like, okay, shot in the dark. I want $285,000. Well, the CEO makes less than that, so that's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, here's
my starting point.
Here's the thing: the higher you get into a company, the more your compensation is based on how profitable a company is. So whether that's explicitly said or not, it's inherently there.
Yeah. All right. So the more costs you cut, or the revenue you generate, or profit revenue you generate. Yeah. Exactly. I always wonder about that. But
and that's in today's value, which means that 5-year plans aren't necessarily a thing, which is the thing with the NFL. If you look at it, you have to turn a team around and make it to the playoffs in 3 years, or you get cleared out. I mean, there's no such thing as you hire an entire new organization and say you guys have 5 years to make this happen.
I'd even say 3 years is generous, but yeah.
Exactly. We're kidding. So I mean, so that's it. I think that what we've established more than anything is that we're all in line that this is a mercenary type of world, and there's no point in even acting like this shit's depressing. Just that it is what it is, and just kind of play. You know
what? Let's just change it up a little bit. Live golf, PGA. You're out there. I hope Orlando Brown gets paid and we get this figured out. You know what? Maybe he will be it'd be kind of cool to like be the guy, like they reset the market and they call it the Orlando rule or the Orlando pay point, like get a pay point named after you. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I want something like that to happen.
The Orlando Brown tag. Yeah.
Exactly.
The Orlando.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
But so more than anything, just to wrap this topic up, I mean, I look to see Brown play well this year. I really hope he plays well. And I hope that he plays well enough that he has the ability to ask for $26 to $28 million a year next year. And maybe we're in a situation where we just absolutely have to have him because he killed it that much, or he's going to go get his money from a crap team, and good for him.
Can you imagine getting hit by that guy? That would suck.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like fun at all.
Fuck.
All right, so let's get into another topic that's been up here lately. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that you're going to have a whole lot of stuff to.
I might find something. I'm having fun over here. I'm thinking of stuff over here. I'm having fun right now.
So, Chris, I know this is something that you're incredibly passionate about, and you're probably going to run circles around both of us. So let's make it a figure eight where you're going, up and around both of us.
It's meta.
So we're talking about welcome to the Superverse or whatever. But so we have the Hall of Fame vote coming up for 2023. So the 2022 class has been announced, and as the 2023 is coming together, so there's a process, what they call the senior committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing they do is they pick 25 players, and the cutoff at this point, I'm 99% sure, is 96. So it's players that played 1996 and retired after that season or before. And so they select 25, and then they have to cut it down to 12 for the semifinalists, and then ultimately how many end up making it to the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
So it's a small handful.
Process, yeah,
small handful. But regardless, there is a Chiefs player on here, one number 89, Otis Taylor, is a semifinalist, and so he played from 1965 to 1975. So he had an 11-year career with the Dallas Texans / Kansas City Chiefs. His most notable play was catching, it was a 46-yard touchdown, correct?
Oh, in the Super Bowl?
In Super Bowl 4?
Yeah, we essentially caught a 2-yard pass and just shook off the defensive back like a rag doll and ran into the end zone.
So he was a big part of the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. He played in the other Super Bowl 1 against the Packers, and so now he's up. And so before I throw any of my commentary, because this is also my latest column that I wrote for Arrowhead 1, Chris, what are your thoughts on Otis Taylor as a potential Hall of Famer?
I mean, for his time, because that's the thing, you've got to look at every player relative to their their generation and their league. It goes for all sports. And with Taylor, and this is actually a really good stat that got thrown out here. So Vahe Gregorian wrote a really nice piece here, would have been back on the first of the month of this month. But basically, he just to put in perspective on how many passes were being thrown back in the late 60s and early 70s versus nowadays, where basically 100 catches in a season is not seen as a big a deal. But here it is. So in 8 career postseason games, Lynn Dawson threw a total of 188 passes. Patrick Mahomes in his 11 career postseason games, has thrown 423. So, I mean, it's almost twice as many a game in terms of how many pass plays, or at least passes, are actually being thrown by the quarterback compared to back when he was in his heyday. two-time All-Pro. He had, from what I'm seeing on his Pro Football Reference, he was actually second in the MVP voting the year in 1971. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I haven't done is I haven't compared his stats to, let's say, other players back
I'm going to
in
show you
that
what I did
time.
here.
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm let's see here. I gotta bring this to a point where I can. Because I did this. You essentially followed the same place that I did. And my overall just thought process on everything is that this is a time and place, world, if you will, and that part of being in a Hall of Fame is the historical, context of everything. And so, having somebody who defined an era should be in a Hall of Fame, regardless of whether or not they were, a stat leader or something to that effect. And so bear with me.
Mhm.
I should probably be a little better prepared for stuff like this, but here we are.
I like watching old videos of Hank Stram because he talks like old timey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he does.
I can't stop that. He's like, almost,
Okay,
he almost does that sound.
So I'm gonna share my screen. And we're gonna go over to screen 2. So you guys tell me when you can see what I have here.
I can't see anything.
Okay. So here's the chart that I put together for my Arrowhead 1 column.
Nice.
And so what I did is I went on Pro Football Reference, and I pulled out a bunch of stats for people that I considered his contemporaries. So I looked at it as they played during the period of time when he did. So 65 to 75. So if there was a year overlap, there you go. And so what I did is I pulled out where they rank all time for yards, and then where they rank for Pro Bowl nods, for first team All Pro nods, for years that they led in touchdowns, receptions, total yards, or yards per game for the season.
Yeah, that 71 season he had was just a monster season.
Yeah. And so here are the things that I looked at. Now I'll tell you the first conclusion that I had is, how the hell is Harold Jackson not a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
I look at that because this is a list of guys that are not Hall of Famers. There were 17 people that had receiving stats that were Hall of Famers. Now, one of them is like Mike Ditka, but I'm pretty sure he made it in as a coach as opposed to a player. But so things that start jumping out, 10,000 yards is a lot. And I don't care what area you're playing in. So how Harold Jackson's not a Hall of Famer blows my mind.
Did he get
full
caught
disclosure,
gambling on
the
football games?
Huh?
Did he get caught gambling on football games?
Yeah, exactly. So the other names that jumped out, Art Powell and Lionel Taylor. And so those three guys, because when you look, you have stacks and stacks of Pro Bowl teams or Pro Bowl nods. You have multiple All Pro nods, and then you have times where they were stat leaders. And so I look at this, and then in like 1972, 1973, Harold Jackson was the most lethal weapon in catching a football. I mean, right? Otis Taylor was the most lethal weapon in 1971, but in his like sophomore and junior seasons, he was pretty effective there as well. Lionel Taylor caught a lot of balls, but it looks like the Broncos weren't very good at racking up yards. So here we are. But, I look at some of this and just historical context speaking, a couple of all pros and leading the league and playing in both the first Super Bowl in the merger era and winning a Super Bowl. I don't know how you keep a guy like that out of the Hall of Fame.
No, and I mean, I'm going to bring up Lynn Swann here, but what has Lynn Swann done outside of what he did in the Super Bowls that he appeared in? Especially, I can't remember what Super Bowl it was where he has that famous catch where he's juggling as he's going to the ground.
Yeah.
Or, as he's jumping up. And I mean, I can't imagine that his stats are much different than Otis Taylor's, but he's got those memorable moments. And to your point, Josh, I mean, Otis Taylor does have that moment in the Super Bowl as well, where his touchdown running down the sideline essentially salted away that game, because it was still a football game at that point against the Vikings until he went pay dirt on that. So yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing as, I'm looking at this through red and gold glasses. I mean, that's, when you throw up a table like that, I mean, he's definitely not the only one that you can make the case for that, he's getting overlooked. But
it's all context, it's time and place. And
really
from a time and place, the other thing, the rap on Otis Taylor is that he could be playing today because he was a big dude. And
he was 6'3", 215. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the wide receiver that was sitting there bodying guys in 1960, 1970, when
that was the Megatron back then. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you take him and put him in a situation where chucking the ball is the way that the game went, then maybe things go differently. So for me, Otis Taylor's a Hall of Famer. I think it's a slam dunk. And that's being what I think is fairly objective, Yeah,
I agree. And, just to maybe cap this off, I mean, if you don't know, Otis Taylor's condition right now. So in 1990, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he's been, I think, for the last 15 years, he's been in, essentially in assisted living for the most part. I think right now he's not really doing much on his own, unfortunately. So I really do hope he gets in before, the world loses Otis Taylor. But my heart does go out to him and what he's been going through since, for the last 3.5 decades.
Brian, anything to add to 60s and 70s era football?
I wonder if they you were talking about like how much they were barreling through people. I'm like, I hope they had painkillers back then, because it looks like it hurt. I also think about like how they look smaller on TV when you watch like old film and old footage of these dudes. Like they seem like they're smaller versus what I guess now it's like all a machine of like, nutrition, training, and muscle building.
Like Drago training in Rocky IV.
Yes. Essentially that from the age of 5 to they, until they get to college, until they play high school football into college football. They're Drago from the montage from Rocky IV.
Anything he hits, he destroys.
You ever see that 30 for 30 about they made fun, they goofed on like Drago or like the Rocky 30 for 30 where they pretend that was real. And the joke was, one of the jokes in there was like, okay, so in walks Drago, half man, half machine, fights Rocky. From a standpoint of patriotism and all, very intense, but from a defense standpoint, worst boxing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And there's another great joke where Apollo Creed, when he comes in and he's like dancing and singing that James Brown song or whatever it is, I think it's
Living in America.
Living in America. And he's and then Drago, spoiler Drago kills him, and the guy goes, Apollo he wasn't in boxing shape, he was in dancing shape, not boxing shape, that's why he died.
Well, and here's the thing, so this is what athletes were doing. This is Super Bowl.
Look at this guy.
Halftime. This is the most famous Chiefs picture.
I think that's a Fanta that he has.
It's Fresca.
Oh, Fresca. That's
look
right.
At young man.
Yeah.
It's the other garbage beverage that's carbonated. But he's smoking a cigarette and drinking Fresca.
It looks like he's at like a high school like gym during some sort of like, I don't know, like the kids are doing something and the parents are just sitting around. The chairs don't look organized. It's just a crappy chair. And he's just a skinny dude having a smoke.
In a way, I guess he was.
Or imagining him being like the backup quarterback in the sideline. He's just out there having a drag.
So I'm trying to. I'm gonna find this guy's name. I'm gonna find this guy's name. So
I almost got sacked 5 times out there. Almost died.
Google.
I would be freaked out too, smoking.
I can share this too. Okay, so
it's like bong rips.
so this guy right here, I'm just gonna share this and we're gonna get into this. So there's a guy in English soccer. His name is Wayne Shaw. They call him the roly-poly goalie. And so this dude is like 300 pounds.
Oh my God.
And when you get into English soccer, there's the Premier League, and then there's promotion and relegation. So there's the pyramid that's called the English league system, and there's actually 8 leagues that make up the top flight of professional soccer. So this guy was in like the 3rd or 4th or something to that effect. So he was the number 3 goalie. Like the dude had a day job. Okay.
Nice.
So the dude had a day job.
Oh, I love stories like this.
But he was caught on TV eating a meat pie.
Where's this at? Is he on the bench?
Yes, this is on the bench. This is in the
During a
middle of
game?
the game.
Nice.
This is in the middle
He's
of
having
the
like a
game.
Jimmy John sandwich. Like, oh my,
It's
like-
a meat pie.
Looks
with
like a hot
chicken.
pocket or something.
It's a hot
yeah.
pocket. It's
it's like Frank Reynolds eating a sandwich during
It's
the
a-
news report.
It is a beef pot pie. And
It's like, man, I'm starving over here.
and he more or less quit being a pro football player when this whole thing happened. Like
Oh no.
So just some, wow.
that didn't go over very well. But his nickname is the roly poly goalie.
Well, his knees are begging for mercy, I would assume, because they're carrying around a lot of weight. He must have like an extra layer of whatever cartilage that makes the knee bones not rub against each other. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I think that's what that is.
I think
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, something to that effect. But in any event, it's just characters, we love characters.
I like that kind of thing. It's kind of, they should make that movie. I want to see that movie, like
The Wayne Shaw story.
yeah, like Waterboy, but he's like, he's a fat guy with a sandwich.
Exactly. Exactly.
And-
Exactly. All
And
right.
like Pele, or that maybe put like what's a famous soccer player? Who's that really? Ronaldo or whatever.
Well, so Ronaldo's there. Lionel Messi is another
Yeah.
guy. I mean, I can give you 100 names if you want me to.
Just go with Ronaldo. That guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever had I don't think he's ever had a candy bar or had any sugar at all in his life. I don't think he's a molecule of sugar. I guess I
Yeah,
could say that
probably
about probably
That's
about that
pretty
Tom
tough.
Brady too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So
I'm more like
last
that fat
thing-
guy, that fat roly poly guy. I like that guy.
yeah,
I
Wayne
do
Shaw.
too. It's my
Wayne
hero,
Shaw,
yeah.
the roly
I,
poly
re-
goalie.
I relate to that guy.
Okay. So then the last thing, I don't know if you guys saw this on social media, but the hustle, which I'm assuming is
A
the
famous dance from the 70s.
the like website thing that you can get a daily like email blast or whatever, and it's like stories that you can watch or whatever. And I think it's targeted to like guys our age. I don't know. Anyway, they supposedly did this study, and I'm using quote unquotes
Air
because
quotes.
stuff like this honestly makes me really, really angry, because I look at it and it's one of those, you wonder why we can't as a society kind of align and come together. And it's crap like this, and it's making stats mean stupid things. And so I don't know what the point of this was. It's probably to say that baseball is more expensive than it should be, which I mean, we all knew that anyway. So what the hell are we talking about?
Pretty
but-
pricey.
But they did a quote unquote study as to the cost for a family to go to a baseball game. So if you look at the bottom, total cost for a family of 4, average of lowest price spots and stuff like that. But so it's going through, you get a ticket, you get beers, you get sodas, you get hot dogs, you get parking,
Oh, he
and
left
then you
out
get a total.
A
So
beer at a Rockies game is $3.
I cannot get past
No
this. Like,
way.
this isn't, what was this, 1944? I mean, what the hell are we talking about? I mean, I went to a Brewers game last week. If there is, I mean, I don't think there's a $9 beer.
I think
I don't think there is.
No.
And I can
Yeah,
certainly
this-
tell you that there's, I mean, if there's a $3, that's like 50-cent beer night, and they have that once a season, and it's like Kids Day in the middle of a monsoon when, I mean, this is just insane. This is absolute insanity.
they left out a lot of stuff too. Like
They did.
they left out the gas prices to get there. They left out, like, for a family of 4, I'm thinking about what does my daily health insurance cost for my kids too. I'm factoring in my families and everything. Like if we're driving there, and also like this is why I don't take my family to stuff. I just go by myself. It's a
Well,
lot
the whole,
cheaper.
the whole thing. I mean, where I saw this, I was on Bleacher Report, and it was just like, oh, the Royals are the 16th most expensive. Okay, shut up. That also means they're the 15th
Oh.
least expensive. So let's at
Unless
least,
you unless you go this,
accurate.
unless you go like this week or this week, because the tickets are on sale for as low as $5 right now. So
Oh,
I guess this
And
is.
here's my
advertising.
other thing. It's like, have you clowns never heard of StubHub? I'm not paying $22 to get into an Arizona Diamondbacks game. I've been there a couple of times, and I think I paid 12 both times.
Yeah. So the most expensive is $324. That's the Red Sox, and Arizona's in dead last for $126.
You are not doing a Red Sox game for $324 with 4 people.
What's it going to cost normally?
More than that.
who pays for parking at a Cubs game? Yeah.
Well, exactly. And there you go. I did it one time. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever done.
So what are you going to spend? What do you think the Red Sox numbers are like? More like $500 for a family of 4?
Probably.
Damn. Jeez.
Yeah. So I think we all know sports is expensive, but you don't need to put together sham graphics to do that. So
like,
there you go.
After we talk about like paying, and then argue they deserve their numbers and everything, but it's just like then we look at like those what the pitchers get paid. Oh yeah, well we got to pay the pitchers. You want good pitching, don't you? Guess what you're paying?
Exactly.
$600 for your family to come watch this. Like, oh, okay. Kind of like having a national championship team, though.
Exactly.
I guess it's the tax, right? And think of that too. Think of it like because you go, what is it? You go once a. Well, Josh, you go to the games all the time.
Yeah.
But the idea of like taking your family, I guess, like once a year. I could think about doing it once a year. Is when I do. I think I do a professional athletic thing about once or twice a year, maybe. And so that's $600 per year. But there's people out there who live and die by the professional sports kind of leagues. Like imagine taking your kids there like multiple, like once a week. Like, oh my God, that's like a mortgage payment.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's not for everybody.
No, yeah, you pick and choose what you want to do, right?
For a long time. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that's that, Ran. Final takes. You guys got anything?
Sure.
Yeah, I
Go
think
ahead, Brian.
yeah. So today is the anniversary of I think it was 100 years ago today. Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. July 20th, 1922. He walked on the moon. So tip of the hat to Neil Armstrong for accomplishing that great feat. July 20th. I always remember that July 20th for that. So a big one.
1922? Wasn't that 1969?
Yeah, that was.
No, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure TV had not been invented yet.
Was
all right, so Brian's
in
making
1922.
Brian's
Okay.
making fun of
No,
us.
he did. It was 1920, and I say that because it was 19. No, it was July 20th. I know that because tomorrow's my birthday. I'm just me. This is me trying to tell you tomorrow's my birthday. Okay.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Thank
Happy birthday,
you,
Brian.
Josh. Gosh, can you take a hint? God, learn to take a hint.
Go from 1922.
All right,
Brian
so
getting to wish him a happy birthday.
Brian's
yeah.
going to turn the editing on this thing
Interesting.
quicker than anything we've ever done, so this can come out on his birthday. So happy birthday, Brian.
Yes,
Chris, I
happy
think we should
birthday.
sing happy birthday to him. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
No, not like that, Josh. Not like that. I want to do it Applebee's style. Okay.
You say it's your birthday.
Oh wait.
All right. All right. So do you have a real final take, or is happy birthday it?
Happy birthday to me.
Happy
There's a
birthday.
real final take. Come on.
Okay, so Chris, I'll throw mine out. Today, while we're recording, is July 20th, which is the 1-year anniversary of Bucks and Six, the Bucks winning their national championship. I have my game 4 ticket sitting right here.
Very cool.
Was the Giannis blocking DeAndre Ayton as a time expired game, so I got to sit in the stadium for that, and I was sitting behind that basket.
You were in Phoenix.
No, that one was in Milwaukee.
Oh, that
game
was in
4 was in
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
I was thinking of another. He had a lot of block shots in that series.
Yeah, true.
But yeah.
But yeah, so cheers to the Milwaukee Bucks. 1 year.
Cheers. Yeah,
that's cool. You have to go to all the cool stuff, Josh. Like you've been at cool sporting moments. I need to go pick up my game on that a little bit.
I ignored charts like that last one I showed. That's the answer.
A World Series is priceless, though, right?
All right, what do you got, Chris?
Yeah, priceless. All right. So I would like to throw out a thank you to Jose Quas, Zach Greinke, Wyatt Mills, Taylor Clark, Scott Barlow, Chris Bubich, Josh Stallman, Joel Piamps, Jackson Coar, Amir Garrett, Vinny Pasquantino, Nikki Lopez, Ryan
I know where
O'Hearn,
this is going.
Emmanuel Rivera, Edward
I
Oliveras,
know where
and
this
Bobby
is
Wett
going.
Jr. So thank you guys for your commitment to winning, your commitment to team. It's
You
good
listed
to
a-
know that you guys do not feel the need, or at least maybe you feel this way inside, but you clearly aren't dumb enough to say that you would actually reconsider your position if you played for a contender. So as far as I'm concerned, Whit Merrifield, I could care less if I ever saw you in a Royals jersey again. So that is my final
Yeah.
take.
Man, putting down some heat there.
Yep.
Yeah, I like how you listed every single name. You took the time to.
I named the guys who actually played, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah, throwing it down.
Yeah, no,
Thank
that
you.
was one of the most ridiculous situations that I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it magnifies a lot of things in the organization, but I won't go into that right now. But
Yeah, no, I yeah, Royals have been a hard team for me to follow the majority of my life. I'll just throw that out there.
it's I mean, they're thought of as the organization that treats their players the best, but what do they actually get in return from the players? I mean,
Well, exactly.
It's a question that's getting more asked now than ever.
No, and that's the thing that I think sucks more than anything is that last year or in 2020 with the COVID lockout, the Royals had an extra draft, because they went out and drafted more players and signed more undrafted free agents, and they paid their minor leaguers and everything like that. And then,
and all the staff and coaches and everything too.
And then thank you, Whit Merrifield, for making sure that nobody ever does anything like that ever again. This is why we can't have nice things, and crap like that is why companies aren't loyal to employees and stuff like that.
I'm not defending Whit Merrifield, but the guy has been spurned by the fact that he was not called up, and Raul Mondesi, who's now Adalberto Mondesi, was called up during the 2015 World Series, was a huge crock, and I think that's a chip he carries on his shoulder to this day. But still, I can't really condone what he said. But
you can still be quiet.
Yeah. No, but I mean, if he actually came out and said, "Yeah, I was pissed off I wasn't called up," and then he basically made the major league roster ahead of me in 2017, I'd totally listen to that and agree with him. But this is one of the few times you hear something from Whit Merrifield, and unfortunately, that's what came out of his mouth. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, in any event, there we are. We're against Whit Merrifield. We're hoping for the best with Orlando Brown and put Otis Taylor in the Hall. Have a good night.
Cheers.